Hello and welcome to Morgan Latif Presents Diversity and Inclusion in Focus. In this episode, I'm joined by Samra Chekroun. We discuss the challenges that women face in particular with regards to diversity and inclusion, everything from lack of self-confidence, imposter syndrome, self-promotion, and some of the opportunities there are within this area. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hi, Samra. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Oliver. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm super happy to have these conversations with you today.
Yeah, same here. Super excited. So before we do get into it, though, it would be great if you could, first of all, just give us a bit of an introduction to yourself, a bit more about your background.
Yeah, I'm a mom. I have a son of 10 years old. And I'm and I have always been passionate by human potential and human, how do you say that, interaction, So I decided to, after my studies, to direct my career in human resources and recruitment. So I worked for more than 12 years. I'm still working in the recruitment in a certain way for major recruitment company. My job, my desire, my passion is always to support people to better position themselves on the workplace. There is, a desire behind that, because behind the workplace, behind the career, for me, it's the financial freedom, especially for women. So I really want to help people to be financially free, and I'm doing it through the career. So I'm supporting corporations to find their best talent. I'm supporting professionals, individuals to better position themselves on the market. And I've done that for more than 12 years. 2.5 years ago, I decided to launch my own business. So I am now an entrepreneur. I'm a new entrepreneur running my company for 2.5 years, BBold. And what we do, still the same. We help professionals to better position themselves on the market through the career coaching. And we help the organization to find their best talent and to implement the D&I initiatives as well. We're going to speak about that later on. So this is, a quick presentation of who I am.
No, thank you so much for that. And I definitely, I've always felt when we're discussing some huge similarities in terms of our passion and our business and what we're doing. And it's great to hear that yours is going super well. We're talking about the topic of diversity and inclusion, which you touched on there lightly, but why is this so close to your heart?
For me, to be honest, I wasn't aware about this name, this label, because it's quite new, especially here in Europe, especially here in Switzerland. But for me, diversity means, a justice for me. I'm coming from a female family. Unfortunately, my father passed away when I was 9 years old, and I've seen my mother. She's done an amazing job, raising her 4 daughters here in Europe. So I saw how difficult it is for women to be the importance for women to be financially free. And I remember, I think that my first coaching was with my girlfriend, and I was 12 years old. So for me, it was more about empowering people, like to be the best version of themselves. I know it sounds cliche, but it's really true for me. It's to be the best version of yourself, to be empowered enough and to make the choice you want. Because for me, if you're not financially free, you're not really free. So for me, this is why it's so important for me to work with this diversity and inclusion, because it simply means more justice and more freedom for me. I hope it answered your question.
Thank you so much for that's very inspiring, and good that you started at a young age as well, even at 12 years old.
12 years. At that time, it was coaching in terms of behaving, how to behave and how to dress, to be, like confident and empowered enough. And it's amazing to see people, because to be honest, especially as a woman, we have a lot of doubt and a lot of, like limiting beliefs and so on, but we are not really aware about the power that we really, really have. So we just need sometimes some support, some guidance, and then we can shine. And this is why it's so important for me to work with diversity, inclusion. I'm also French and coming from Algeria. I actually was born in Algeria, and I came in France when I was 2 months, like a baby. So for me, diversity means a lot for me. It's really, really very important.
We touched on that, the challenges that women face in particular around this topic. And I can already feel your amazing energy when we're discussing this, which is great. What do you think they are? So we've touched on a couple. If you could give me your thoughts on that, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. And to be honest, I mean, as I said, my background is in recruitment and HR. You do have a lot of experience in that as well. And you know that in terms of imposter syndrome or limiting belief, we know that, for example, for women, they tend to apply if they match with 80, 100% with the criteria. Men only need 60%, and then he is going to apply. So we do have a lot of self doubt. We do have a lot of a challenge with confidence. So this is for me the main important things, confidence. All right. So we tend to think that we question ourselves so much. It's a lot. Second, it's the self-promotion skills. We tend to think a woman who is doing this exercise of promoting herself, she's seen as not a good woman. And this is actually the women, they do have this image toward all the women who are promoting themselves. It's not only men. Huh? And this is, I mean, I sent you this survey, I think 20 years ago, they've done a survey, and they noticed that a woman who's observing another woman promoting herself, she was really, criticizing her. She wasn't okay with that. We also came to, there is another survey who says as well that a woman who has a leadership position, she tends to have a negative effect on the earning of the other woman. Why? Because we tend to think that woman, she needs to work hard and stay quiet. So the challenge for women today is to understand the importance of self-promotion, because best achievements do not speak for themselves anymore at all. So we really need to understand that it's not because you do your job that you are going to be recognized, especially with this pandemic, COVID, everybody's working from home. So your manager is not behind you watching what you're doing. This is your job to go and to speak about your values, the result that you are producing, your ambitions, what you want. So I would say that the main challenge that women are facing is if they are still very uncomfortable with self-promotion. Second is the level of confidence. They really have this imposter syndrome. They are not good enough. They think it's never enough. So they are very hard with themselves. So this is the main two. And the third one, as I said, it's the society doesn't really like women who are promoting themselves. So we'll say that there is the confidence, there is the belief that you just need to work hard and it's going to be recognized. And there is the belief also that if you're promoting yourself, you're going to be seen as a bad woman.
When you're saying self-promotion, you're not saying to go shouting around, I'm the best and nobody else is as good as me. There's obviously a nuance associated with that. Could you give a bit more of a flavor around that?
Thank you very much for bringing that on the table, because actually is that a lot of people, they say, but self-promotion is bragging. Self-promotion is arrogant. Self-promotion is superficial. Self-promotion, I don't need it. I just need to do my job properly. Of course not. It's not bragging. It's not about bragging and going there and I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that. No, it's just about respecting the professional that you are. You're working minimum 8-10 hours a day. You are producing something. So this is your job to just inform people about the work that you are doing. I mean, this is the minimum that you have to do. The second, especially if you're, for example, targeting a leadership position, we know that it's not your technical skills that will make the difference. It's very important, of course, but it's not enough. What will make the difference is your ability to communicate, to create, to negotiate, to be visible. So you really have to demonstrate these skills as well. I was working as an HRBP within a global corporation. And some of the employees, they really understand that it was super important for them to promote themselves, to speak about their ambitions, about what they want, about the result that you would like to produce in the company. And some others, they were just doing their job and that's it. But I mean, who do you know the HR or the manager will promote if they do have a new positions? The person who already manifested their interest, or the person who stay there quiet, waiting for something?
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
not about bragging, of course not, but it's just about having the ability to articulate the result that you are producing and to articulate your ambitions and your motivations and your future desire for this corporation.
And do you think that could mean both in a structured fashion when you're having conversations with your manager and with the HR contact within the organization, as well as informal ones because it won't obviously just be your manager, for example, that's making the decision, or HR, it might be influenced by other senior stakeholders that have had contact with you. So do you think that's relevant as well?
Absolutely. And I will say that if you wait for your annual review to discuss your promotion or your salary increase, it's already too late, or maybe they already took the decision. They will just inform you about this decision during this conversation. So of course you have to initiate this conversation way beyond before the official conversation that you're going to have with your manager. And as you said, sometimes your promotion is not going to come from your direct manager. Sometimes it's going to be from another person working for another department or having other responsibilities. So you really need to get very comfortable with these networking activities within the corporation. Having this coffee, having these conversations, having this talk, taking initiatives, and networking with the generosity as well. Like, hey, I've seen that you're working in this project. It's super important for me. I would be more than happy to offer you my help. It's not about only taking, it's also giving. A lot of people, they see networking as bad things. Yes, if it's only about taking, maybe, but you can give. And by going there, having this conversation, proposing your help and your support, this is a huge value that you can bring on within the corporations as well. You see what I mean? It's not about taking, give me this and give me that. No, I can help you. I can give you this. I can support you in that. I can offer you my support and help. And for me, this is the best way to initiate conversations, to be honest.
Definitely. No, I completely agree with you there. And I think the whole concept of BBold actually in general, I'd love. It does also put the onus on women for self-promotion, where I think historically others have looked through a lens of it's up to the organization, or it's up to even in traditional male-dominated sectors, it's up to the males to change, which I think is obviously also of huge importance. But it's great to have a different perspective. There's something a woman can do to help herself as well.
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing that also, because women, and most of them, the huge majority, they understand that they really have to do the job. And they are doing the job. They are working on themselves. They are working on their limiting belief. They are being more visible. They are sitting on the table. They are starting to speak up and so on, because they understand that nobody will come and save them. It's not the job of their male colleague to come and to save them. It's about them being more visible and be bold enough to be remarkable and shine around. But for the male colleague, it's about understanding that there is this push as well, this, more justice within the corporation. And they also need to to be more open for that as well. So it's not, like men against women, absolutely not. It's just about how can we work together and how can we create this inclusive work environment that will help everybody. It's not only about women, because we were just talking about that just before, but we know that a lot of people, they leave a corporation not only because of the position, but most of the time because of the manager.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So as a manager, we need to understand that, I need to create this fair workplace, and maybe bringing more empathy as well, and trying to create this team that where everybody will be recognized for the job that they are producing. So it's really both. It's like take and give. So it's like women, they are doing the job, corporation, they are also doing the job, and then we are maximizing our chance to create this fair workplace.
Which I think is the right thing. and you think you see it a lot, that actually if people or candidates in general tend to move jobs less, or move companies less, their salary or compensation package gets restricted. And I think it is traditionally women that tend to fall in those categories. So I think even in terms of equality in pay, these kind of conversations can also have a huge impact as well.
Absolutely, and we know that women, they are also very bad in negotiating their salary as well. I mean, in the recruitment, only few they really negotiate their salary when a man has already like increased the salary maybe by 10 or 15% sometimes. So this is also something to do with how do you say that, the confidence and the self-promotion is having the honesty towards yourself to say, okay, my skills and my experience, I mean, deserve this amount of money, and I have to say it. Because once again, if I don't say anything, if I let the corporation decide for me, then guess what? Maybe that's not going to be very interesting for us. So in order to avoid that, we need to come up with this very specific figures and not be afraid to speak up when we ask this question, because you're going to have this question: what is your salary's expectation? Of course. And if you say, I don't know, that's a bad signal. So you have to be prepared to answer to that question.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think we can talk more actually towards the end of this discussion around the BBold aspect. I think you mentioned another interesting point, which was the feeling that whatever you're doing is never enough, and I can't succeed because it's not enough. Is there any more you can share around your thoughts around that in terms of why that happens, and how that can be changed?
It's funny because I had a conversation. I interviewed one of the D&I VP of a global corporation here in Geneva, and we were talking about the imposter syndrome. And we know that 70% of people, especially women, they will experience this imposter syndrome. And this is completely linked with confidence and self-belief, and self-limiting belief, meaning that we are never enough. So we need to do more and more and more and more and more. But at the end, it will never be enough, because we can always do more. You see what I mean? So this is quite crazy to think that I'm not going to ask for anything until I reach my amazing place. But you will never reach your amazing place if you do not speak for yourself. So I will say that it's completely rooted to the limiting beliefs, and once again to self-promotion, because self-promotion for the society is, especially for women, it's really hard because it has a bad connotation, such as bragging, superficial. And if a woman is promoting herself, this is not a good woman. So if you take all of that, of course, you will always think that you are not good enough.
Is it different in different cultures in your experience? So I know you said you're from North Africa, you're now living in Switzerland, you've worked internationally. What's your view on that?
Definitely, and there is a Google initiative. It's called I Am Remarkable, and they developed this self-promotion initiative to help women to be more visible. But after certain years, they've seen that people underrepresented, coming from the underrepresented group, they had the same things as well, exactly the same things. I will say that each time you find yourself a minority within a group, you may tend to feel exactly the same things. And I conducted a workshop for global corporation, and we coach men engineers, okay? And we had men from China, Pakistan, Italy, South of America, and so on. And you see the impact of the culture. And either we like it or we don't, but you see the impact of the culture. Russian people as well, they were very, very close at the beginning, especially for some people coming from this culture. And at the end of the workshop, they are very, very open and definitely much more open with their emotions. And we also, for example, some people from China, it was very difficult for them to speak up and to be visible. And some others coming from America, it was much more easier for them, because they have this education, and it's okay for them to speak and to share ideas and so on. In certain countries, certain culture, it's a little bit more complicated. So as a leader, We need to make sure that if we do have a diverse team, we need to make sure that we are giving the place and the voice to everybody, because we understand that it might be a little bit more difficult for certain people to speak up than others.
How can that be changed? So what can, and I think we've probably brought the discussion now around to definitely to women, but those in underrepresented situations in general, what can be done to improve this?
Very easy, give them the voice. I mean, instead of, if you find yourself in a meeting and you always have the same people talking and talking and talking, of course it's good, but take the time to look at the other people as well. And if they don't take the initiative to speak up, ask them the question. Okay, we hear you, but we would like to hear this one or this one. What do you think about that? What's your suggestion? What's your perceptions? You know, so giving them the place to speak up. If it's not natural for them, then go and ask for help, then support them, you know, and very easy. We can do many, many things, but honestly, if we start by just asking the question, you know, going to them and asking them the question and understanding their opinion and what they think and having their perspective, maybe after 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, you will not have to ask them the question. They will do it by themselves because they feel, secure to do it.
It's so funny, no matter, with the broader topic of diversity and inclusion, no matter what angle you tend to approach the discussion at, it always comes down to empathy and awareness. And I guess in this, you made me think of like a teacher in a classroom, even back at school, and it's those that are more empathetic and aware that ask even the children their thoughts, rather than having the 2 or 3 noisy kids the ones speaking up with the answers the whole time. But that definitely translates into the workplace as well.
It's so funny that you speak about that, because we are working on a program that we created. It's called Promote Your Eve. Promote Your Eve, because this is the first woman, in the conscious of everybody. But Eve, it means empathy, vulnerability, and emotion. And the leader, if he has no empathy, it's going to be really, really difficult to manage the team properly today, because we are not living in the previous century. But today, we really need to develop these skills really, really, to see, what's going on, instead of just, being very pragmatic. You have to be very empathic, because when you do have this empathy, you can hear the unsaid, you can see the unseen, because you can feel things. And then you can be more able to speak and manage your team properly, and everybody will feel secure to speak up. You see what I mean? So that's super. That's, for me, one of the most important skills that we have to have in leadership positions today: empathy.
You mentioned vulnerability, and it's actually a topic that I've heard spoken about, but I've not really explored. Why do you think vulnerability as a leader is an important characteristic?
For me, if you do not show up vulnerability, it means that in a certain way, you're only promoting the good aspect and you're hiding the bad aspect. But we know, as a human being, we have the good and we have the bad. Sometimes we are very successful, sometimes less successful. But if you're not vulnerable enough and only wearing this mask of super guy and super woman, and your team will feel this lack of, this dissonance as well. And being vulnerable, it's not about how do you say that, telling all your private life, but it's about to say, okay, I am. I took the decision, but it wasn't good enough. I've done a mistakes here, and by doing that, you're also teaching your team to it's okay, to do mistake, or it's okay to not be always good. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We just need to speak up and to find the solutions all together. And being vulnerable, instead of staying behind a computer, trying to solve your problem by yourself because you're so afraid to say, oh my God, I don't know, or I don't have the answer. Just speak, be vulnerable enough to say, I don't know, I need help, and your team will come and support you. So vulnerability goes with empathy as well, huh?
Right.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah, that's that definitely makes sense. No, I like the concept of Eve, the empathy, vulnerability, and emotion.
There is an amazing author. Her name is Brené Brown. She's working a lot about the vulnerability, and she's helping leaders as well to tap into their vulnerability to be a better leader. I really recommend to everybody who might be interested in that subject to go on YouTube. This is one of the most most famous TEDx. And her name is Brené Brown, and she's talking a lot about vulnerability. And when you are vulnerable, something's happened. You create more connection, you create more trust with your team. So they will follow you. They will follow the man that you are, not only the title that you are. And that's a huge difference. Because if you want to be followed as a man, as an individual, as these thinkers and so on, you have to open up. Otherwise, we are just following a title, huh? The bus.
It goes back to women as well, doesn't it? Because I think in women, it would have been that discussion. Actually, if you show that you're vulnerable, then you're showing your female characteristics too much. And actually, that's not what expected you of a leader. And I think that's actually what people are really looking for, especially with COVID, there is uncertainty, there is lack of clarity, and people are looking for connection when they're not connected. And that vulnerability is actually a strength.
Absolutely. When we understand that vulnerability, empathy, intuition is a huge strength, then the game is changing, and it's changing in a very good way.
Yeah. Tell me more quickly about BBold. So in terms of what you're doing, you mentioned you started 2.5 years ago, but what you're doing for organizations, how it works, it'd be good to hear.
Yeah, so BBold, it's about being bold, because I believe this is, the main important skills that everybody has to have, especially if we want to engage in this self-promotion, this vulnerability, etc. You have to be bold. Audacious. You have to be audacious to take action. So that's why I gave this name to my company. And what we do actually, it's exactly what I said just before. So we empower people. So we help individuals to be the best version of themselves. So we support them through our career coaching to design the perfect career for them. So a lot of people, they come to us because they want to have a more meaningful career, or they want to develop their leadership skills, or they want to consider other options, etc. So we help them to develop, first of all, to do this introspection and to develop the strategy to get there. With the corporation, we work with them on 2 angles. The first one is to establish, to create this diverse and inclusive work environment. So we help them to conduct workshops such as Remarkable Women, Build Your Brand, Promote Your Eve. So it's more about how to create this inclusive and fairer work environment. And we help them also in terms of recruitment about, not recruiting for recruiting, but for recruiting the right person who is going to complete the teams, not only just another person, the same person that the person who left, but really the person who's going to complete the team, to diverse the team, to make it more inclusive and more diverse. Diversity and inclusion is super important. And we know it's increasing the revenue, it's increasing the attraction. So a lot of major corporations, they understand that. So we help them to develop these initiatives as well.
Great. Thank you for joining me. And just in terms of a summary, in terms of the key points that you would want our viewers and listeners to take away, anything that you'd want to finish on?
No, I would like to say thank you very much, first of all, for these really, really great conversations. And I hope that it will, benefit to some of your people and some of your audience. And for those who wants to have a little bit more information about what we do, I will be more than happy to get in contact with them if they do have some question in terms of self-promotions.
I'll add a link, and I'll add a link to your LinkedIn profile so people can find you super easy.
Excellent.
Great. Thanks, Samra. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Thank you very much, and wish you an amazing day.
Cheers. Same to you. Bye.